In this video, I want to show you how the lighting works in Quick Studio. It is probably the most important feature. First of all, we have a couple ways of adding lights. One is using this button here, Add a Studio Light, or we can use the Shift-A menu to add new objects, and here in Light, we will see 3 additional lights. This will be the studio lights. I will start with an area light. In this panel down here, we can change the settings of how the lights are created. For example, we can choose whether the light is going to be visible or not. It is set to visible by default. This is one of the key features of Quick Studio, that the lights can be visible in the viewport and to the camera. They also are created with a target by default. You can also choose not to add the target. And some of these options can be edited after the light is created. For example, if I set visible to camera false, you see that this bulb here is going to be switched off, but we can change that later. We can also choose the type of light, the distance, rotation, and these settings will be saved when you create new lights. Well, let's leave that as it was before. So this is way number 1. The other option is to use this button here. Also, notice that lights will be created with a 90 degrees rotation from the previous one. This is due to the rotate parameter in the creation panel. So if we start adding more and more lights, they make a circle. All the lights we add are going to be listed here, and they can be shown in different ways. For example, now it is set to selected and advanced. That means that we're only going to see the details of the selected lights. If I select this, the light will be highlighted here with all the options. If I set it to simple, it will be a little cleaner with only the most important parameters of this light. And if I set this to all, then I will see all the lights details at the same time. In advanced mode, it also has here 2 options to make linked and normal copies. If I click this, I just create a copy of this light here. I can also make a linked copy. That will also work with Alt-D. Okay, so now this new light is a linked copy. If I select it, you see that this one is highlighted, and if I change the color, change it to red for example, both of them change at the same time because the light is the same. To unlink this light, I just click here, and it will no longer be linked. Every type of light has its own settings here, what you would see in the normal light menu: type of light, angle, size, power. And then we have these options regarding visibility and the target. So if I, for example, click this eye, this light is going to be turned off in the viewport. If I set the camera off, that means that it's not going to be visible in render. And then we have this other option that if the light is on, it will control the visibility of the light to the camera in the viewport and in render. So we have the option to change that right here. There is also this last option to disable the target of the light. So we can enable or disable it when we want. Okay, so then we also have this around active. If I enable it and add a new studio light, you will see that the target will be in the active object location. If I want to select the target, I just have to do a right click and go to the last option in the menu. Now I can move this around. I can also do this again by enabling the extend option. That way both the target and the light will be selected, so I can move them at the same time. I can use this button here to select and deselect the lights from the user interface too. Then in options, I have a few more settings. The backface option allows me to hide the backface of the lights, so they are not visible now. I also have this use directional feature that is the same as the spread value in 2.93. So let me show you how it works. In versions previous to 2.93, in Quick Studio you have this option. From versions 2.93 and later, this won't be here. You will just have directly in the area lights instead of this, the spread value. And what is this? So I have to change the cycles to see what it does. I'm going to disable the other two lights, so I have only this one. And if I turn this value up, you will see that now the light has a spread angle narrower than before. A value of 0 means the light is emitted in every direction from the plane in a 180 degrees angle. And if I turn this up to almost 1, the light will be emitted only perpendicular to the plane. We also have this render light meshes option. Let me change back to material preview. Right now we can see the lights in the viewport because we have this enabled, but if I render this, the lights are not going to show. For that, I should activate this option, and now if I render, the lights will appear. Finally, the light mesh strength parameter will adjust the brightness of the emission shader. So let's keep this in the default value. This is going to be important when we see the render HDRI. So as you can see, creating your own custom lighting setups is very easy and quick with Quick Studio. Let me delete all this, and now instead of adding lights one by one, we're going to make use of the light setups. If I click here, you will see that we have 16 setups ready to use. I'm going to select this one, add light setup, and there you go. Now if I hit R to rotate, you will see that I'm rotating the whole setup. I can move it to all the setup at once. And that is because all the setups have a parent object that allows me to move it around easily. If I enable extras in the overlays, we can see the empty object that is selected right now. This object is the parent of all the lights and their targets. Anyway, I recommend disabling extras to have a clean, nice view. You will still be able to select lights thanks to the visible to camera option in Quick Studio. You can always select the parent with Shift-G, parent, to move the setup. And then you also have this right-click select target option if what you want to move is the target. As you see here, we have this replace option. Let's disable that. I'm going to add a new setup, but before I do that, I will click here to disable this one. It hasn't been removed, it's only hidden. In fact, it is still enabled in render, as you can see here. So let's add a new setup, for example this one. Add light setup. So now we have both setups in the scene, and we can enable or disable them anytime clicking the arrow here. And then of course we can always quickly delete all these lighting setups with the X button. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and thank you for watching.